Hello to whoever's watching. My name is Jacob, and I'm going to talk to you about my major project for Software Design Development 2012. This is my HSC project, and I guess you could say this is a documentation of the final product, or at least I think it's finished. I'm still writing down a few little things that I've been doing. Main problem that I came around to was a couple months ago, a month, mm, about 2 months ago, or maybe more. Um, I had everything saved on a external hard drive, and that's weird. So don't mind that. Yeah, I basically lost half of my documentation, so that's 3 months worth of work of documentation gone out the window. So I've been rewriting that, and luckily I backed up the actual project, which I'm about to show you. And yeah, I backed up the actual project and lost about a week's worth of work, whereas with my actual documentation I lost about 3 months worth of work, so roughly half of my stuff. Anyways, this is the title screen, one would call it, the index VB form, or I'll call it title. So yeah, basically, excuse me, big button to close it. This is the main GUI for. If I go to, what do I do? Not that one, but if I go to main design, this is the main, I guess, GUI for the whole thing. They pretty much all have these. They have a home button or a back button, which will go to, it'll close the current one and reopen the one before it, because when you open a new window, say if I went play, it would hide the previous one and open up the new one, and it just saves it from resetting or something or whatever. And so you've got the big X here, that'll close the entire program, as opposed to this little X here, which will simply, just close that window, and then you have to press the stop up here to get it going. Anyways, I'll just run through it real quick and explain it. Okay, so we've got the title screen, and then press blackjack, and hello and welcome to the game of blackjack. And if you need help navigating for whatever reason, just go here, and it's got just basic instructions of the main GUI. And down here, I have a small bug list. This is mainly just errors that in the game, and I'll just read them. Sometimes when the game begins, one or both of the cards might not turn over when the bet is placed, yet it will still give the value of the cards. And you just reset the game or go to the next, or continue on to the next round, and guess what, the whole thing, and yeah. And occasionally, the player or dealer may end up with the same card twice. That's a thing I'm trying to work on. I've put down in the written documentation that I tried, because I have the card value as a public thing, which is here. I have the card values here as a public class, in the public class, And when you scroll down here, I have it that it actually checks a random number. It picks out a random number and it checks the random number and then it puts it to an image of a card. And I have all suits from 2 to ace, from ace to king, however you order them. And that does it for every card, all 6 of them. Because normally blackjack's played with 5 cards per hand maximum, but this one only goes up to 3 because it's all the space that I had on it. And the main thing that I wanted to do was to have it so all the text and all the pictures were big. So even someone with maybe not the best vision can read it. Anyway, so after it checks the random number, it checks the random number again. And this time it gives it a card value. And the random numbers go between 2 and 53. And that way it'll assign a card value to the actual card. And what I had was that it would check the card value, and since it's a public class and I could use it for all cards, which I couldn't for the random numbers because they're all separate sort of thing for each card. And in each function, but I tried making the random numbers a public as well, but it didn't seem to work very well, and all sorts of things came up and whatnot. So yeah, this is just basically a video documentation for what I haven't written down yet, or just going over stuff that I have written down. And I have it so here it checks. This is the way that I've been doing it, and it it checks the random number for the 5th card to see if it checks to see if random number 5 is the same as random number 4. If it does, then it goes through all this again and does it all, and yeah. So I'll just run through the game for you, and this is all original code. I have some maybe I have maybe I have less than 10 lines of code that I've actually looked up on the internet. So we begin the game, and one thing I wish to implement later on in the future, if I decide to go on with this after the HSC and whatnot, is to have it so when you hit enter, it doesn't just go down space, it actually acts like the button. Anyways, we got begin, and there's your main interface, the first interface. So yeah, and we just go, say, another thing is, if you bet over 10 credits, like say if we just go bet, dealer's bet is randomized. If I just go up here, too far, wait no, here, this is my dealer's bet code that was completely made up by myself. It checks to see if your bet is between 2 numbers, and then it bets between those 2 numbers. And it's sort of a difficulty setting, I guess. And we've got a reset button which brings you back to there. But something that I've come across is, say if I want to bet 50, as you can see down here, it should bet, if the bet is equal to or greater than 41 and less than or equal to 50, so it should still bet between 50 and 41 as I have there. But if I go place bet, it doesn't. It's a little bug that I've been trying to figure out how to fix, and I haven't been able to. But anyways, we shall roll on. So as you can see, it's got 2 to 10, which equals 2 to 10 respectively, and then Jack, Queen, and King are also 10, and I used to have Ace, so it would randomize that it would either equal 1 or 11, but I decided to get rid of that and just make it so it's equal 11. Just makes it easier. Anyways, I'm going to hit and have a little checkbox. You need to place a bet to continue. It won't make a bet if you bet less than 1. So if you go negative 100, there you go. You need to place a bet to continue. And I haven't actually, wrote up a code for the start. So if you go negative 100, nothing happens, but obviously I haven't done it for the second hit yet. And yeah, so I have 18 and I'm going to stay, and it says you win, your value is greater than the dealer's. So the dealer has 11, which is placed up here. I have 18, which is placed down there, and that's basically the gist of it. And then you got continue, yes or no. If you go yes, that resets, you get your winnings, and you play again. So we'll just go 10 this time. Place bet, say it's 12, I want to bet again. So let's go 10, and hit, and it's 22, and I lose. I have it so that it it prioritizes if you lost. What it checks is prioritized to whether you win or to whether you've lost. As you can see here, so it's got if player value is greater than or equal to 22, then message box show you lose, you have bust, and then all the continues come up, and it's got you lose. Then it's got you win if the dealer is over 21, and then it's got another you win. So it first checks 2 different variables of whether or not you have lost, and then it checks 2 different variables of whether or not you won, and then it's got one last one which it checks, which is sort of a general, it's sort of like a reverse process, whereas the first one is if you bust, and it's not really a reverse process then, unless I get yeah, you know, and it's got you lose your. I put this one last because because you don't want to be, so the dealer has say 25, which means it loses, but the game says you lost because you have 18, sort of thing, you know, like it it I don't want it to check to see if you have less than the dealer, because it's more of a general sort of thing to happen. Whereas, yeah, the dealer wins even though it busts, which isn't right. And it's also got another loss thing here. If winnings is less than 1, then another window will come up, which is this one. And so home just brings you back to the main, brings you back to this one, brings you back to this screen, and yeah, you just go on from there. But yeah, the whole thing is something like, what was it, close to 3,000 lines of code. So if I go down to here, this one on itself is 2,589, then you add all the rest of the forms which I have over here, and yeah, so this uh, command thing is stay too, so I have it so, yes, let me go, 10, place bet, 10, so here I have it so there's one hit button, but there's two um, stay buttons. So if I go here and I move this out of the way, there's two stay buttons for whether you win or lose. Not whether you win or lose. The first one comes up if it's on this screen, and the second one will come up if you press hit. If you hit, the second one will come up. They both do the same thing, but yeah, except the excuse me, the second stay button will add up the value. Excuse me again, of all six cards, as opposed to just the two. So I'll just go stay. You win. And here's another bug that I've come across. Most of the bugs that happen with the actual cards will be as a result of resetting the game. I don't know what it is. I've checked. It usually happens around the 10th time. Anyways, we just go continue. Go 10. And there's another one. Neither of them come up. But then we go 10 again. And now it's a different thing. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, so here I have a general game help. I'll just bring it up to the big screen. And you can move it around or whatever. You can make it bigger, you can make it smaller. And it's just got simple steps. And as a reminder, ace cards equals 11, suits have no currency in the game, which I actually took from proper rules, I believe, or what I assume to be proper rules, and it's like, just hearts don't beat spades sort of thing. Like how hearts is apparently the biggest thing and whatnot. But yeah, it's basically just in-game help. And with this one, it just closes everything, and it's as simple as that. That's more or less my game, my software design project. It's made in Microsoft Visual Basic 2010 Express. Um, yeah, that's basically it. I've covered pretty much everything. Um, yeah, yeah, thank you for watching, and just remember, most of its original coding, it took 6 months. One thing I didn't get from, oh, another thing, just real quickly, if we go up here, let's go blackjack, play, begin, don't do that. I have it so, like I said, you got negative 100, doesn't do anything, and if we go 200, which I'm still yet to put on the hit button, you have insufficient funds to make that bet, which I thought was a good little thing to put in so you couldn't bet 200 and win more than what you should, without bugs at least, on purpose sort of thing. Anyways, thank you for watching, and yeah, thanks.